Good morning, everybody. This is Stacy Turner with our DMOpro Zoom. So happy to have all of you here with us. We were just talking about Level Up this weekend and watching that in our homes with other team members or on our own. We all felt it was really great information and just appreciated the fewer speakers so that they could go a little bit deeper each time with what they had to say. But I felt it was really great information. So I'm sure those of you that were with a big group, it was a lot of fun to all be together, and just looking forward to seeing the leadership side of Juice Plus in the next couple of months as well. So a couple of weeks ago, I told you guys about the book Finish, and this is by John Acuff. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, um, I really like this book a lot, and he's talking about perfectionism. And so I wanted to dive into one chapter, a little bit of it today, and then next Monday we'll cover the rest of this chapter. But he's talking about hiding places and noble obstacles. And first of all, in the book, he defines like what perfectionism is, but how that keeps us from finishing our goal. And I think even if you don't call yourself a perfectionist, I think that there's probably 10 trends that we all have within ourselves that kind of would lend towards that. But it's really sort of the excuse making that we have in our head. And the first one today we're going to talk about is hiding places. So as I'm reading this, I'm just going to read some of like highlighted pieces out of here, and then we can talk about it. But I want you to start even writing down what comes to your mind as I read this of what is a hiding place, and sort of start to identify them within your own life. Okay, so we're going to specifically talk towards our Juice Plus business, but obviously there's hiding places in a lot of things in our lives, but we want it to be, we're going to just tune our heads into the business side of things today. Okay, so he says, at the beginning of any goal, perfectionism focuses on destroying it with full frontal attack. It tells you that if it isn't perfect, you should quit. If your goal isn't big enough, it criticizes you for even thinking about making it fun. But if you hold on, if you refuse to allow perfectionism to generate your goal, it will completely change tactics. Unexpectedly, it will move from destruction to distraction. Perfectionism offers us two distinct distractions. The first one is hiding places, which is what we'll cover today, and the second one is noble obstacles. So a hiding place is an activity you focus on instead of your goal. So a hiding place is an activity you focus on instead of your goal. And a noble obstacle is a virtuous sounding reason for not working towards a finish. Both are toxic to your ability to finish. So a hiding place is the safe place you go to hide from your fear of messing up. It's the task that lets you get your perfectionism fixed by making you feel successful, even as you avoid your goal. So some hiding places are easily spotted as the unproductive traps they are. If you're watching Netflix every time it's time to do X, then that's a hiding place. Other hiding places can look like productivity, but they're deceptive. They make you feel like you're doing well when in reality you're not getting anywhere on your most important projects. So an example he gives is his wife calls him out on it because she'll say, I know you're avoiding writing when your inbox is immaculate. And so he goes to email and organizing his email and cleaning out the email box because it feels productive. It feels like work. It's on his computer. He's answering customers' questions, things like that. He gets the buzz of accomplishment, but really very little of the real work done. Okay, so if you're going to finish, you have to ignore these two hiding places. And here are a few simple ways to identify them. One, do you find yourself going there accidentally? If you blink and you find yourself working on something besides your real goal, you're probably retreating to the first kind of hiding place, the obvious time waster. Okay, so that's the first one, the obvious time waster. You will never accidentally end up doing a difficult project. The work you're trying to avoid is not something you'll stumble upon unexpectedly. I just looked up and I was sorting through all the job applications people had sent in. It was a task I'd put on for weeks, but dang, there it was. You'll never accidentally work out. I mean, I meant to watch TV, but the next thing I knew it, I was just doing burpees. Difficult work requires discipline. The hiding places perfectionism offers don't. You don't have to tell yourself to bite your nails if you're a nail biter. It just happens. So difficult work requires discipline. The hiding places perfectionism offers don't. And then he also says, what's the app you open on your phone without even thinking? We all have one of those. So you barely touch your phone, and the next thing you know, you're scrolling through Instagram. And then the second way to identify it is, do you have to justify why you're giving it time? Is what you're working on directly in line with what you want to finish, or is it disconnected by a few steps that take some creativity to explain? If somebody said, why are you working on that? Would you have to like take some time and walk through and you're like, well, because, and you'd have to like really justify why you're putting time to that. And then the third thing he says is, what do your friends think? Ask someone close to you if you're spending time, energy, or money on something that's not important to your goals. And don't listen to perfectionism when it tells you you do not need to do this. Perfectionism loves isolation. It would prefer you go at it alone, convincing you that you relying on others is some sort of cheating, that you should just be strong enough not to need anybody. And that's ridiculous. Why does it tell you that? Because it's easier to beat one person than it is a team. And most of the worst decisions you've ever made were made alone. That's why. So who do you have close to you that you could ask, hey, what are my hiding places? Only if you want to identify them and actually work on them. Otherwise, don't ask, right? Like, not just in isolation, but there's also accountability if somebody tells you what that place is. So once you identify the hiding places, the logical thing is to take the time, energy, and money that you're spending in the hiding place and spend them on activities that will help you meet your goals. So if you identify one of these hiding places, you should stop going there with your time. So where is it taking from your time? How much time are you spending on that hiding place? And then he talked about not spending your energy on the hiding place if you can help it. So energy is a little bit more difficult to measure, but it's just as expensive as time. So if you are more productive in the morning, if you work better in the morning, your brain is more clear, you can get a lot done in the morning. Then if you're distracting yourself, let's just say you're cleaning the house, like it's good, like the house is a mess, like I have to clean the house, then you're not putting your energy in the time of day that you're most productive. So that would be a hiding place, and you're spending your energy on that. And then finally, stop spending money on your hiding places. He gives an example. If you can't afford to go to the gym that you really like and that you would actually go to and take the classes and work out because you don't have the money, then what's taking the money? Is it really expensive vacations that you're going on? Is it Amazon? Shopping sprees? What's taking the money away from putting it into the things you really say that are our top priority? And then he says, like, your corporate job is not a hiding place, it's a commitment. If you have a job outside of your business, it's not a hiding place. Like you have to have income, you've made a commitment to that company. Now, if the hiding place is, or if that job is like something that you really hate and you don't really need the money from that job, you could make it without the job, but you use that as like, well, I would like to build my business, but I have to work full time. Do you really have to work full time? If you let go of that and you had time at home, and could you put that time into business and build your business? But yet in your head, you're terrified of building a business. So you stay at a job that you hate, that you don't really need the money at, then that would equate to a hiding place. And then he says your kids are commitments. They're not a distraction. They can be distracting if you have little people. And he says, you have to work around their schedules and their nap schedules and things like that. But I would say that too, especially when my kids were little, I could have said, Well, I just don't want to be distracted. I want to have time with my kids, and I want to be able to give them all my attention, and I don't want them to feel second place to my business. And when they get older, I'll get into the business. I'll do more when they get older. Well, as you guys know, as they get older, they get involved in more things. And then you have t-ball practice, and then you have, dance recitals, and you have like, it's just more things that they get into that I could have continued saying, well, I don't want to not be able to go to every practice or whatever. And I did not go to every practice. So, there were things you have to find a balance with, but my kids were a commitment to me. They were my reason, not the excuse. And I used them as my fuel to move forward. At one point, my income was to pay for them in private school. That was something that was really important to me. And I wanted them there, but we could not have afforded that on their own. And so I personally did not want to homeschool. I did 1 year and I was like, who can I pay to do this? Because it just did not fit me well. Or that was important to me. So I didn't use that as my excuse not to. They were my commitment. Your commitment is also your health, and so is your spouse. They're not distractions. And so the hours spent doing X instead of doing what really matters, looking at those, it's time to realize that the peace that hiding places give you is a false one. Okay, so you might think it kind of calms your mind if you go there, but it's a false one that ends up creating other anxiety because you didn't get done what you had said you wanted to on the goal. So they don't protect you. Instead, they keep you from reaching your goal. It's time to recognize hiding places for the perfectionism trap that they are, and then step into the light. So we'll go on next week and talking a little bit more about those noble obstacles. But I want to go back and okay, how do we apply this? I gave a little bit of example of applying this as we talked through it. But, let's just say a goal of a power hour, like 1 hour, you're going to sit down and you're going to do your work. I mean, honestly, if we're really consistent, 1 hour can create a lot. Like it really can. Now, what I find that I can get really easily trapped in with the power hours is I'm on Facebook the whole time and I'm sending messages and I'm putting stuff out there. And I feel like I sort of get stuck in that or kind of distracted in that versus really doing the DMO side of things, like following up with people that I've already had a conversation with, or reaching out to my customers and checking in with them, in a deeper way, more than just, hey, your order's going to be shipped this month. Do you need me to reschedule that or adjust it? So I think that we got to still be careful, because even within that power hour, we can find these hiding places of sending a bunch of birthday messages to people that are not really going to turn into conversations, right? And I know just from my own experience, if I get a "hey girl, happy birthday" message, or I hope you're having a great day, they're almost always a network marketer. So don't think that other people don't see this tactic. Like, if you're going to send messages like that, I'm just encouraging you. And I know that the power hour people say to say happy birthday to people, but it's known in the network marketing world that people are outside of it, that network marketers do that. And it just kind of seems a little bit, I mean, I've had people say, not even just happy birthday, but here's a coupon for this, or here's a code to get 20% off. And, just asking me for sales right away. I don't even know her. I have no idea who she is. I don't even know what this product is either. And I just scroll right on by. So we don't want people to just scroll right on by, so even that to me is a hiding place. It's easy. It feels very passive to just say, hey, happy birthday or happy Monday to somebody. But I've had other people, like when I was doing that, they were like, is this, I got text messages, has your Facebook been hacked? And I was like, no. And they said, well, I just got a message from you that said, happy Monday. And I don't know, I just thought maybe it's, yeah, Lisa says it's transactional and it's sales. So, just be careful that if you're going to send and start a conversation, take the time to start a real conversation. Just not a happy Monday, happy birthday. That's just my opinion. It feels productive. I just wonder how productive it is. If you look back to 6 weeks of happy birthdays, how many conversations did you really get started? But how much better, just take some time and pick a few people, look at their profile or their page, and what did they do this weekend? Comment on their post and then send them a picture or send them a personal message and say, oh my gosh, the mountains looked beautiful. Where is it that, do you guys go there often? I don't know, something like that. Or even better, look for people who are actually saying, hey, I need help with something, and then offer to be helpful to them. So send them a resource, or look for those that are saying that they're ill or sick. Make really good productive posts that show, content and video that shows, that gives value to people. So just be very careful in those power hours that you're actually doing activity that moves the mark and isn't just a hiding place within that hour. And you can get sucked into a bunch of activity that doesn't really count. What counts is conversations. Think of it that way. I mean, a reach out has to start the conversation, but if what you're reaching out saying is not going to lead to a conversation and you have you know, no goal of starting a conversation, but you're just like, check, I sent happy birthday to 10 people, check, check, check. That's really most likely not going to lead to a conversation. So just be really careful about that, on that side of it. But thinking of let's say doing an event. If you are like, I'm going to start doing events, hiding places that come up with events are, well, my house is disorganized. I'm going to have to, organize and clean the basement because the basement closet is just so unorganized. So let me get up all in there and vacuum the attic before I can have people over. Like, it's cleaning, it's prepping for this event, but it has nothing to do with the event. You're hiding in the prep of it when you're not, like, really just need to do it. This week I did, like I told Jared, I feel like I need a vacation I need a weekend from my weekend. It was just like one event right after another. Thursday night was a sourdough event. And if you do those, it takes prep work ahead of time. And, making sure I had it, everyone there, and you have some cancellations and calling and let people know, filling in and who's paid and do I have all this stuff. And then my sister came into town, so we spent some time with her Friday. Friday evening was Ansley's birthday party. We did fondue, totally fun. If you guys haven't done that, like, I know it was a thing in the 70s. Why did we ever let it go? It was a lot of fun. So we did the birthday party. Then Saturday was the level up. Saturday night, I did a dream board party, and Sunday was another sourdough event. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, yeah, I need a vacation from that weekend. It was just a lot, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of connecting and so many great conversations. I've gotten some orders already, but okay, so my coffee bar is a mess. Like, I don't know what happened. It's just like everything keeps getting piled in there. And my husband loves to collect all things coffee, I guess. But there's so much. There's so many bags of coffee and so many coffee makers. Like, we have so many coffee makers in the house. Like, we really just need one, but apparently we don't. And we have a coffee grinder and a milk frother. Like, it's out of control and it's just a mess. So I bought all the things to, like, put some shelves up to give me some storage. Well, I found myself hiding in the redoing of that coffee bar. For one, I do like it. I enjoy, like, decorating and the style and things like that. And I was excited to get it cleaned out. But I wasn't doing the follow-up that I needed to from the first, one I did last week, actually. And so I found myself hiding and hanging up these dang shelves, and it wasn't working. I was getting frustrated. And then finally I just had, and, in my mind, I'm like, I'm having all these people come over. I cannot have a messy coffee bar when it's been messy for, 12 weeks and nobody's noticed it. But I just found myself sort of hiding in that project. And I had to just let it go. And I mean, it's all this stuff is piled kind of on it in the corner and the measuring tape and all the things. And not one person said, hey, I see this little mess you have going on over here, Stacy. Like, why aren't the shelves up? Why don't you have your coffee bar organized? Nobody cared about that, right? That wasn't the most important thing. It was, I needed to have the starter fed and I needed to have things set out. That needed more of my time. So even like organizing and that sort of thing can be a hiding place. He talked about like email and organizing your desk. I know I've like reorganized my office. I'm like, I just don't like the way the lighting is in here. And then before you know it, everything in the office is down the hallway. We're like painting and, you feel so productive, but in the end, you didn't have a conversation with anyone, right? So I love that the planner, if we're using it to track our conversation, it gives us so much direction because we're not hunting for everyone's names. We're not hunting for those contacts. They're already there. And so even think about what might be a hiding place to keep you from using your planner. I would say one I've heard and I've used it myself is, well, I kind of skipped a couple of weeks. I didn't write anyone's name down, and now we're already in the next month, and I don't want to waste those pages. And so I'll start next month. Like that's a noble obstacle. Like, I'll start Monday, I'll start the first week of the month, and then I'll get better. Like, let go of the perfectionism that says every page has to be filled out, everyone has to match the month. Rip out those month pages and let go of that. Just let it be week after week after week of DMO and fill it in as you go along. Well, I didn't write anyone's name down for the last 3 weeks. I haven't put anything in it, so I guess it doesn't work for me. Take some time, go back through your phone, through your text, through your messages, and start writing down the names. And if you're like me, I'm like, oh my gosh, there were 5 conversations I had. I sent them videos. I followed up like twice or maybe even one time. I totally left them hanging. And so, now that I've got their name written down, I can go back and help them. So thinking about that hiding place for your DMO, like what keeps you from doing the actual DMO work? What comes to your guys' mind? Like what have you found in your life to be a hiding place? And just remember you're muted, so unmute yourself if you want to share.
Stacey, I always try to wait and make sure somebody else has a chance, but I think I could totally get and just go into customer care. I love doing customer care and not reaching out to new conversations. And I wanted to say something about the Facebook when we go on to Facebook, because I don't know anybody that doesn't get trapped in the Facebook spiral, right? But one thing I've been really trying to do, again, because we all know, but is to go to your friends list and people you haven't seen forever, start commenting on their post, and also friends of friends, because we want new people. And so it's really important that you reach out and you're making an influence. And if you're not commenting on people's post, they're going to stop showing up on your algorithm. So it's just so important to make sure they're seeing the value you're bringing on Facebook.
Yeah, very good, Patty. Just being careful we don't get stuck in the scroll hole. I don't know, like YouTube. I mean, it's times where I'm like stuck 3 videos in on YouTube watching like some deep sea creature. And I'm like, how did I even get here? And then you push the back button and you're like, oh yeah. And then back, oh yeah. And you're like, oh yeah, here's what I came for. And then like, and you're, sucked into 30 minutes of nothing after that. So yeah, that's a good one, Patty. Like if you love customer care and that's what you go to every time, like let that be the fuel that gets you going, and then recognize, okay, now let's do the other one, or I will do customer care calls or whatever. Let's get these couple of things done first, and then I get to do that sort of as the reward, if you will. Who else would like to share?
So I'd like to share, it's interesting you talk about the power hours, and I see, and my team and I have created where we do power hours every Tuesday, every Thursday, 9 a.m. Arizona time. But I'm so grateful, and they're hopping on and we've been consistent. However, I notice we spend a good portion of the first 15 minutes like talking about things or this and that, where it kind of loses its focus a little bit. Like, again, like another rabbit hole of like, wait, the more time we have, quick, super quick, what you're working on, and let's get to business. And I'm realizing, me as a leader, I need to revisit that expectation. It's not time to talk about when our next party is. It's not time or event. It's not time to, um, for different things. This is our, like you had said, and I wrote it down, what counts as the conversations, and not conversations between us, conversations with our people that we're reaching out to and who we're reaching out to. So thank you for that, and revisiting of, because even the power hour, gradually it's like, we kind of get sidetracked. So now it's time to, okay, let's bring it back. What our purpose was to begin with.
Yeah, very good. What's the purpose to begin with? Yeah.
Stacy, this was just amazing today. I love this, and I'm going to buy the book. I'm going to have to buy the book because I'm so guilty of almost everything you said. And one of the things that I have found too is that my sister-in-law is going through some real radical treatment for cancer, but her mother's 98 and needed to be moved to. So I went there to help her pack up, and you have to purge everything. And because of that, it was so horrible. And a 98-year-olds save every ketchup packet they've ever had. I mean, but so I came home and I spent weeks purging myself and did nothing else with my Juice Plus. And customer care has always been my first go-to. And I mean, my customers I've had since 2006, most of them, but that's still an excuse not to enter into new conversations with new people. So it's my hiding place for sure. And I need to get back on track. And this is just what I needed today. So thank you.
You're welcome. And Vicki, that's a good point, because there's times in our life where something does have to take such a large priority. I find a couple of girls that I'm real close with in the business, they have parents that are aging and needing additional care and are being moved to sort of like nursing home type facilities, that type of thing, and assisted living, and just the time that it takes that to help them go through their stuff and move. And it's okay for us to recognize, that's not a hiding place necessarily when we're helping somebody and it's a season of life that they really need a lot more care. It's not a hiding place. It's a good thing. And yet we can be very intentional about that, right? There's new people, a therapist that comes in that you can have a conversation with, the new neighbors that they're moving into, the kids of the other family members in the assisted living, facilities. Like, you're going to have to be super intentional because it's outside of your norm. Having a new baby isn't a distraction. It's not a hiding place. That baby needs your time, a lot of attention. But, can you be intentional about conversations when you are on social media posting that sweet baby's picture, or at the pediatrician's office, or just wherever you're at, and really being intentional about having conversations in that season of life, and just be careful about that it doesn't become sort of, I think what's the noble obstacle is what we're going to talk about next week, that is it's its own sort of hiding place and a justification to shut everything else off because of this. And because of this becomes another because of this, because of this, because of this. And like 5 years have gone by and no activity. So I think recognizing that for ourselves. And then also I would say too, like, if life is chaotic, if things are messy, if they're disorganized, I'm not going to be able to put as much energy into something if I'm really solid on it, because I am distracted by that, so I like things to be organized and in order. So if I'm doing it because I just want it to be organized, great. Like, I can take the time. If I'm doing it instead of my DMO, instead of my business activity, that's when it becomes a hiding place, right? So if we just do our business all the time and then everything else goes crazy in the house and we're like, I can't clean because it's a hiding place, Stacy said, like, careful because your husband's gonna come find me and like, why'd you say that? Your kids are like, but mom, we're hungry. Sorry, it's a hiding place. Cooking dinner is just not on the DMO. So
Thank you.
yeah. So thank you, Vicky. Anyone else want to share?
Excuse me, I'll go quickly. I think one of the things I got away from, but I'm seeing sliding back into as a hiding place is um, information overload. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I kind of changed my word to simplify because I was feeling like God's calling me. I'm in too many directions, getting too much information. And then I'm staying up late because I want to get my work done, so that's a real easy place to go. And I've actually been doing some praying about that. So I don't know if other people go there, because what happens is at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was going to follow up with this one and they didn't answer the phone. And I don't know, this is one quick question I do have is I like to talk one-on-one with people because I find like I'm not getting far enough with the texting, and I don't know if I'm not asking good enough questions or just people don't get back to us. And then it threw me into Level Up. Now I got to remember his name, but you guys will know the guy at Level Up who also talked at our conference about.
Oh, Jason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Begins with a D.
Dorsey.
Dorsey. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the other thing that I kind of go back and forth. What is their best mode to connect with? I love talking with people because I want to get the answer and ask the questions and get it moving. So I hope that makes sense.
Lisa, that's so smart. Texting can be a hiding place. When do we pick up the phone and just talk to them? I don't want to talk on the phone. I'll just text them. I'll just send this little message. I'll just keep this little conversation going. I'll just send a little emoji. Like it feels sort of productive, but it's never moving it forward. Then we've got to change direction. Send a Facebook Messenger instead, or pick up the phone and call, or invite them to coffee, or invite them to an event. Like, I think that's so good. That can be a hiding place, is just through the easy, quick text messages out. But even those messages aren't really deep enough to keep a conversation going or get it going. And if they don't ever answer a text message, that's not going to work. And so pick up the phone and talk to them. Very good. All right, one more. Anyone else want to share? Okay, well, we will pick up the conversation next week and we'll talk about noble obstacles. And I think we're really going to identify with this one too. There's going to be things that stand out. I appreciate each one of you, and we'll see you next week.